would be happy to do what is right every day. But there's a struggle for Christians. I want to please myself. I want to do what satisfies me. But yet on the other side, this spirit is telling me, no, it's not about you, it's about you. It's about God. So do what God wants us to do, folks. And it is not easy. It is not easy. But you know what? If you and me watch each other and keep each other's back. You know, when we see one another straying, talk about it. Yes, it's my best friend. I don't want to lose my best friend. Well, it's best to lose your best friend telling your best friend that is wrong than for you compromise with your best friend and the best friend go down the road of destruction. That means that you don't love your best friend. When you love your best friend, you talk what is right, whether they like it or not. And that's what we have to do. Now he tells us, and David is saying, oh, that my way were directed to keep thy statutes. In other words, he wants to keep God's words, but he's struggling. Let me ask you this, you're not saved. How many times you want to give your life to the Lord? But the enemy just bring all kind of things in your way. You know you can't do this, because. And remember, you know, you have to do this and that. Oh, remember that show that are coming? You can't get saved yet. Let me tell you, folks, when I got saved, I want you to listen to this. Some people don't hear it already. When I got saved, Greg Grazer was coming to Antigua for the first time, the cool ruler. And I got saved today Monday, and he's in Antigua the next Sunday. So I'm thinking everything. So where to get it? Think I give away the ticket? Eh? No, I didn't give away the ticket. I still want to be with my friends, so guess what? We went as a group. Yes, man. And when Greg Razor come on after the first set of artists sing, I wasn't dancing. But when Greg Razor come on board, I start up. And then there's this auntie of mine, cousin. And every time you go to those places, Falmouth and English have people house in one car. And when I start to dance, see my auntie say, and the Christian dance so? Weird. Are you dance better than me? And they say that to so. I get the protector move and I never move again. And the first time I ever watched her, I right away. I just want to get out of that place, and the bus not going to move until the shoulder. So I have to stand there for the rest of that night torture. I think that was it. After that is finished, my favorite love song was playing. I was washing up dishes. And I start, because it's my week to wash up. And I start singing the love song. And the auntie might come out. Me know you're not Christian. Me know you're not Christian. And that's why you need to tell the truth. And you know, after she said that, I pulled myself up, keep my head straight, and I passed the 2 weeks, and now I'm going for 26. April the 23rd.
So can I ask you a question, Pastor? So even though you've been a Christian and a love song is playing, you cannot sing to it?
Huh?
Even though you've been a Christian and a love song is playing, you can't sing to it?
I don't really pay attention to them anymore.
No, not you, just...
Some people still do it. Some people. Alright?
What is your belief?
My belief is if you and your wife, you know, having a little dinner special, when they want to dance. Right. And that's just my belief.
I say sing.
No, I don't bother with that. Something gets me out, I must think. Alright? But folks, what am I saying this morning is that all of us, as God's people, want our way to be directed to keep God's statutes so that we can do what is right. That's what we want. You know, if we have more Christians doing what is right in our society today, we have a better society. Don't play with the phone. We have a better society. Do not allow the devil to distract you this morning. Verse 6, look at verse 6. It says, then You notice if his way is directed to keep the statutes of God, he says, then shall I not be what? Verse 6, somebody with me this morning? Eh? Ashamed. Ashamed. When I have respect unto all thy commandments. You see, and that's what happened, folks. And a lot of us as Christians, our testimony calls us to be a what? Our testimony calls us to be ashamed. And David is saying, God, you know that I'm willing to do what is right, but somehow I keep on falling short because of my what? My weakness. And so he said, oh, that my way were directed to keep thy statutes. David had sinned against God over 2,000 years ago. Let's call it almost 3,000 years ago. And you know, even up today, we know what David sin was. Anybody can tell me?
Adultery.
Adultery.
Murder.
But how is it that we don't
Murder.
murder, yes, but how about we don't remember about the numbering of the people and so on? Because they're not highlighted. You understand? But David sinned so many times that David said, oh, that my way. So that why? So that I will not be ashamed. And that should be your desire. Let me ask you, who are not saved. What is hindering you from giving your life to God? What is hindering you from giving your life to God? Let me ask you another question. Are you ready to die? Let me put it in the dialect. Are you ready for death? Eh? Are you ready for death? Because the last thing you want is to die now and then your eyes open in hell. That's the last thing you want. You know why? Because there isn't a second opportunity. There is no second chance in hell. Let me ask you this. Are you going to allow obstacles to stop you? Are you going to allow obstacles to stop you from giving your life to God? Let me ask you. And say, do you really love God? You see, words is sweet. If I tell you that I love you and I never show it to you, what would you say? You say, no, you don't love me. Somebody else is showing me the interest. And guess who will win? It's not the person that said I love you. It's the person that showed the interest. Although that person might just want to use you, he will win. Because he shows the action. God said he loved us. And what he did? He sent his son to die to prove to us that he what? He loved us. And he wants to save us. So it's very important for us to understand that God died to save us. And all of what we are asked to do is to just keep God's commandments or statutes. Today, the Bible tells us to love one another. To love one another. That's what the Bible tells us. And so David said that he will have respect unto God's commandment. What is that respect? You know, when you respect somebody, you don't want to send nothing out of the way to them. You know you don't want to violate them. You know you don't want to do no evil whatsoever. You want me to take a phone from you? Or you're taking picture? You know that God wants us to not just say that we love Him, but to show. To show. And folks, if you're shy, like how I used to be when I'm talking to girls, I want to tell them that I'm loving them. But guess what? I'm just going every day and be nice and so forth. A girl can't come out with the word. I remember one girl tell me, when I finally tell her that I love her, she said, but you I said, what do you mean? I already have somebody. You know, and I said, but you know that. She said, well, I can't help now. You know why? Because I have all the opportunities. And I never say it. And somebody is going to just say it in less than no time to win the battle.
That was good for Sister Pamfield. That was the best thing that happened for Sister Pamfield.
Folks, let's look at what the Bible says here. I will praise thee with my what? I will praise thee with what? Uprightness of what?
Heart.
You know what it means by uprightness of heart? We come here this morning and we're singing. But let me ask you, were you really singing with meaning? Or you just lip singing? You know a lot of people do that on Sunday morning? You just sit there going. But guess what? Nothing is coming out. And then David said that I may praise thee with uprightness. And when you talk about uprightness with the right attitude, I'm going to give God my all. That's what it means. Notice here the part of the verse, it says, when I shall have learned thy righteous what? Judgments. In other words, David is saying, God, when I learn, when I learn of your righteous judgment, you know, God will God judge. He judge what? Partially? No. He judged righteously. And whatever judgment that God hands out to a person, that is it. And let me tell you, in case you don't know, this is my favorite line. The devil is only looking company. He's only looking company to go to hell. He knows the lake of fire and brimstone is there for him. He knows that the lake of fire and brimstone is real. Some people say, I believe in heaven, but I don't believe in hell. That doesn't change anything. How many of you like to walk in the sun? I work in the sun all the time, and you can, those that work with me will tell you sometimes the sun is so hot, no breeze blowing. And you know when that happens, you know I want to get out of the what? The sun. And you know what I've learned through the scriptures? That the sun is not even as hot as the lake of fire and brimstone. Can you imagine that? And it is said if the sun only come 1 inch lower, everybody burned up to ashes. And if you go 1 inch higher, everybody freezes to death. So the sun is at one point, and it never moves from that place. It never moves. It's the earth rotate, and all the other planets rotate, but the sun just stays one place. And by the way, in case for those of you who might know, the earth is spinning exceedingly fast. Exceedingly fast. But God just keeps us well balanced and keep us in place. And so David is saying, God, I just want to praise you, and let us know why when I shall have learned of thy righteous judgment. Lord, when I learn of your righteous judgment, the only thing I want to do is to praise you with the right attitude. That's all it's asking. Let's look at something else here. He said, I will keep thy statutes, forsake me